Well, hello YouTube friends. I kind of made a promise the other day in my last video, or maybe the one before that I'd try to get more active back on YouTube. And if you watched me before, you know my name is Richard Matthews, and you know that my YouTube name is Messabout1. And this will be kind of a practice run. I haven't made a walk and talk video in a long time, so I don't know how good this is going to be. If you watched me before, you may notice I have on glasses this time. I have to have glasses to read up close. I'm farsighted, so I have glasses to read up close. And I've got my local Scottsboro Wildcat baseball cap on because the sun's shining quite bright. You can see that. But what I'm going to do is try to walk and talk and kind of catch you up on what I've been doing these last many months and I guess years. I've been on YouTube. If you watched me before, I've been on YouTube about, 12 years, 13 years now. But I've been kind of off and on. I haven't been active all of that time. I've been kind of coming and going when I have time. And while I was working full-time, it seemed like I had more time when I was working full-time than I do now. I'm retired, semi-retired. I still have a full-time job, and that full-time job is driving a local school bus, and I drive it during 9 months out of the year. I drive a school bus. I have a morning route, afternoon route, and it normally takes me about 4 hours a day on the bus routes. So I'm still, I guess, employed. I think they even count that as a full-time job, even though to me it's kind of a retirement job. And maybe I can keep my camera straight here. If you've watched over the past years, you know I had a little GoPro Hero 4 camera, and that's what I have on today. And I have it mounted to a Evo stabilizer. But it's been so long since I've used this thing, I may be a little out of out of practice. We'll see how it goes. Thing's a little bit screwy in that it wants to point in one direction, and when I turn directions, I have to adjust it to be back where I am. And got a beautiful blue heron. I'm gonna turn this around and see if you can see him. You ought to be able to see him there. He's about, I guess, 40 feet away from me, and he's standing there waiting to have a fish swim by so he can have breakfast. Let's see if I can get him to fly up. He'll take off here in a minute. There he goes. Beautiful. One of my favorite birds. And I'll kind of let you look around here where I am. Where I am is called Goose Pond Colony Resort. It's a beautiful place. It's open to the public. There's some Canada geese way back over there. I guess you can see those. It's open to the public, even though it's called a resort. And this area is owned by the city of Scottsboro. There again, if you watched me before, you know I live in a little small deep south town called Scottsboro. Town of about 18 to 20,000, I guess. And I've lived here most of my life. My family has been here for 200 years, so I'm kind of used to living here. I just scared up a little squirrel there. He took off. This area, as I was saying, is in Scottsboro, Alabama, and that's where I live, in Jackson County, Alabama. And if you look on the map, or if you haven't heard me say before, it is right up in the northeast corner of the state of Alabama is where my county and city is located. And we're about 60 miles to the west of Chattanooga, Tennessee, about 10 or 20 south of Nashville, Tennessee. A lot of you will know Nashville from all the country music. And from Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta's is to our southeast, about 120 miles also. I'm not real sure of those distances right now. And my camera's kind of drifting around. But like I said, I'm trying to get back in practice of doing this, and I thought this would be a good way to do it. And I'm on a walking trail here. You can probably see behind me. And I'm gonna try to keep the sun from shining directly into the camera. This thing's gonna kind of come and go, but you'll have to bear with me till I get everything practiced back up. Today is the 10th day of April, of course, the year 2019, and it's just a beautiful day here in northeastern Alabama, in the deep south. A lot of the flowers are blooming, the grass is turning green, and animals out and around. And so this is a place I like to come and walk. It's I have a nature trail here that I'm on right now, and it's just a pretty place to come walk, peaceful. Not many people use it, especially during the week. Most people having to work. I had to work this morning, had to run my school bus route, and I got off of the school bus route about, well, I had a little extra things to do this morning. We had what they call an evacuation drill, where we teach ourselves and teach the students what to do on the bus if there's an accident and they need to get off the bus quickly and safely. So that took a little time. I'm sorry. I got done with it, I guess, maybe by 15 till 9 or something like that. I don't know what time it is now. It's almost 10 o'clock here right now. And I've already noticed talking and walking will get you out of breath. Now, I knew that already. My age now, for you new viewers, is 73. I'm 73 years old as of back in November. So I guess it's time I maybe lose my breath a little bit when I'm walking and talking at the same time. And I'll turn the camera around here. They're repairing this area here, not repairing it, but cleaning it up, working on it to make it a prettier part of the park. And I see some bass fishermen out here. I'm going to turn around. There you go. You should be able to see them. And this lake, the lake you see them with the boat on out there, is called Guntersville Lake. It's a huge lake. It runs, I guess it runs for about 75 miles from up to the northeast toward Chattanooga down to the southeast, a little town called Guntersville, Alabama, where the dam is. And all this water was backed up back in the 30s when Tennessee Valley Authority, the TVA, built some dams along the Tennessee River to help. One thing was help control floods, and the other thing was that it allowed generators to be built into the dams to generate electricity. And before that was done, this was really a rural area. It's still rural. We have one fairly good sized town off to our west called Huntsville, Alabama. A few 100,000 people live in Huntsville, Alabama. And if you've kept up with news through the years and maybe had any interest in the United States space program, Huntsville's where a lot of the early moon rockets on the Saturn V were built, assembled, and tested, and it's still a very big part of NASA, a very big part of our military. And that's where I worked when I had a full-time job, in engineering for about almost 50 years, right at 50 years. In Huntsville, I could always go to Huntsville due to the government work, NASA, and the military work and fine work. So that's where I am, and that's what I'm up to. As far as my walking, I've been, there again, I always say if you've watched me before, because I've been making videos for 13 years, and some of you, believe it or not, it's hard for me to believe, have watched my videos for all those years. I have a guy wrote me the other day, made a comment the other day, and he said, I can't remember his name now, right off the top of my head. But what he said was, I was a teenager when I started watching you 13 years ago. And he said, now I'm fully grown, married, and have children of my own. And I've had several viewers that stuck with me all these years. Hard for me to believe, but I appreciate the viewers I've had. I thought I heard somebody behind me there. I was telling you about my little setup here. I got the Hero 4, and it says it's recording. I'm trying to keep it pointed at me. And I have it mounted on a little Evo stabilizer, and it's on the end of a, I call them ugly stick. It's a little monopod, not a tripod, but a monopod. And the thing probably weighs altogether, may weigh 3 pounds, not bad. And it gives me a way to extend the camera out so I can get way out there if I want to. And I can't remember what the good distance is, but maybe that's doing okay. Show you the lake again. Plus it gives me a chance to rest a little bit. If I'm walking and talking, I'm probably moving that too fast. We'll slow down. Beautiful area. And if you like to fish, this is one of the best largemouth bass lakes in the whole country. We have some huge tournaments here. I had one back maybe a couple of weeks ago, and the payout for the tournament was about a $250,000, $250,000. And we had fishermen here from all over. Saw some from Minnesota and Illinois and all around. And I don't know who won it. You'd think that local people would have an advantage when you have a tournament like that, since they're used to fishing these water. But that's not necessarily true. I think they're normally won by somebody away from here that doesn't live here. And I got a little hill I'm climbing here. You may hear me huffing and puffing. Not many hills down here, but this is a small one. But I'll get up it here in a minute. Still getting subscribers. It's a little thing on YouTube. Let you know what subscribers you're gaining. Catch my breath. It lets you know what subscribers that you're gaining by the last 30 days. And I look at it every once in a while. And I've never been one to try to accumulate. See which way I want to go here. I think I'll turn around. Lost you there for a minute. But I've never been one to try to accumulate a whole lot of viewers. Well, I like viewers, but I don't try to run up big subscriber numbers. I'm hoping I can turn left right down here and go by the water. Let's see. Well, there's another squirrel. Not sure. This part right here is kind of new part of the walking trail. Now I see an area I can turn. It's where I wanted to go. It's close to the water. I hope this thing is working. There's a little red light on the front of the GoPro. It says it's recording. And you can probably see my little microphone here. And it's plugged in. If it's working, the thing is recording, I'll be in good shape. But sometimes I've got out like this and walked and made a recording and got home, nothing on the card. Made some kind of mistake on the hookup. You have to forgive me getting away from it here. But maybe when it gets off of me, you'll get to see some scenery. So here's where I wanted to be. And I see another boat out there. And this is probably, not probably, I know it's going to be a long video, because it's already gone by 14 minutes. But that's okay. A lot of people tell me they like my long videos. And some people say, oh man, it sure does take you a long time to tell a story. And that's true, it does. Read something the other day about how different people tell stories in our country, in our United States. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. And what it said was the people from other areas besides the South just rapidly say their words. Don't take a lot of time. But it said people from the South, when they're talking and telling stories, they speak a little slower and maybe a little clearer. And he said they're like the people in the South are savoring their words. And I think there's truth in that. And some people say, well, he just likes to hear himself talk. And that's true too. But I also read something the other day about introverts and extroverts. And it was saying that introverts, and I consider myself one, are misunderstood. It's not that they're slow mentally. It's not that they're antisocial. What it is, they just enjoy time alone, enjoy, like I'm doing today, communing with nature, having time to think your own thoughts. So I guess that fits me. Yeah, it's getting a little warm already. I think our temperature today is supposed to be about 80 degrees Fahrenheit for you folks on, not on Fahrenheit, on centigrade, but it's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Not there yet. Right now it's 69 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just great right now. You have a little breeze blowing. They show these pretty little flowers. I think these, I'm not sure, I think those are goldenrods. And if they are, it's bad for them to be our state flower and me not know them. But I think those are called goldenrods. And I think they're really a kind of a weed. But somewhere along the way, somebody said that will make a good Alabama state flower. So that's our state flower. And I'm probably getting some sun glare in the camera. Let me put it over on this side. And lately, about over the last 2 years, I'm planning to be some sort of a photographer. I got in my retirement time, got the urge a couple of years ago to learn a whole lot more than what I knew about modern digital photography, and learn more than I knew, which was not much. I'd had more experience making videos than I had photos, snapshots, I guess you could say. So I bought some good equipment. I think I told this the last time I was on. And I've spent some time these last 2 years learning to be a better digital photographer. I might show you some of the photos I've taken over the last little bit. The pretty little bird here. It's red, it's yellow with a black cap on its head and black stripes down its wings. And right now I can't remember the name of those birds. Beautiful little bird. See if you can see him. He flew off. Scared him away. And that's one thing I've gotten a lot of practice at too, is taking pictures of local birds. And I've got hundreds of them of all different types. And I see some more fishermen down here. As you notice, this little, I'm looking directly into the sun, probably not good. This little trail goes right along beside the lake. And we're coming up on some rental cabins here. And I'm going to walk down and go down by the water. The sun's probably bleaching out the camera, the video right there. But that's realism. You're really seeing how bad I am on using my GoPro right now. So we're going down the little cabin here. There's some beautiful dogwood trees here. I'll show you the dogwood trees when I get there. Dogwood blooms this time of the year. There's the dogwood. Beautiful little white blooms. And there's the dock here at the rental cabin. So we'll walk on right down through here. Let you enjoy the nature, not my ugly face. I can't remember if the stabilization on this little gimbal is good or not. It seems like it's doing pretty good. I'm really going to be disappointed if I get back and none of this recorded. But at least I will have gotten my exercise in. Yeah, there's a gentleman down there catching a little fish. Like he was brim fishing, and I just had a little basket of, around here, the prime brim or sunfish bait is crickets. I think he had a basket full of crickets he was using. People buy them by the either 50 or 100 at a time. Keep them in a little wire basket. Catches some good sized brim. We have brim that's called shell crackers, some called sunfish, some just plain old perch. And you can see I'm going on the end of a little dock here. Water's beautiful. And I see about a half dozen boats from where I'm looking right here. This is a good place to kind of explain where I am. Right over there, you should be able to see it where the bridge is Highway 79, Alabama Highway 79. Off to the right, it goes back to Scottsboro, where I live. Off to the left, it goes down to Guntersville, Alabama, that I mentioned a little while ago. It's a 4-lane road part of the way, and then it turns into a 2-lane road. And then about half a dozen different places, it'll cross the water. It's a beautiful drive. It'll cross the water like it does right here, and runs alongside the lake all the way down. And that mountain back there, I think it's called Gunner's Mountain. A lot of people call it Grant Mountain. There's a town out there named Grant, and I'm thinking it's probably not named after the famous Yankee Civil War between the States General Ulysses S. Grant, but I don't know that for sure. And I'll go on around here and let you look down the lake. You'll see some little islands down there. And then way back in the background over there, you'll see what I've mentioned, I don't know how many times in my other videos. There's a plateau. It's about a 700-foot plateau. The lake here is about 600 feet above sea level. And that plateau goes up another 700-800 feet. And that's called Sand Mountain, that you're seeing in the far distance. The ridges that you see between here and the far mountain are little river ridges that run all along the Tennessee River. And actually here, if you look at the first little set of ridges over there, right back this side of that is the Tennessee River. And what's close here around the dock is the backwaters of the Tennessee River. It's hard to believe, but the Guntersville Lake, like I said, stretches about 75 miles, and there's all kinds of little coves and inlets and irregular shorelines and islands and all that on Guntersville Lake. But it's said, and it's a proven fact, that the shoreline of this one lake is longer than the shoreline of the state of California. And that's kind of surprising. I can't remember now what that, it seemed like it's something like 1,100 miles of shoreline on this one lake, because it goes in and out so many little coves and around islands and little, there's all kind of creeks here in the county that feed into it. I think we have, let's see, we have Widows Creek, Crow Creek, Roseberry Creek, Dry Creek, Mud Creek. This is North Saudi, and on the far side of the river is South Saudi Creek, feeds into it. And I'll turn back around this way. That bridge is over the creek. It's called North Saudi, and that's spelled S-A-U-T-Y. I think it has a Y on it. Maybe it's North Saudi, S-A-U-T-A, I'm not sure. But it's named after an original Indian village that between here and that mountain that you see there, kind of off to the right, was one of the Cherokee Indian village back in the pioneer days. And it even became the county seat at one time. Well, of course, when this area was just being settled, not very many people in here, but that was the name of that Indian village, that Cherokee Indian village, was Sauta, S-A-U-T-A. But when TVA backed up the lake here, it covered up the old Indian village and whatever remained of it. And they moved the county seat from here to a place called Bellefonte. And there again, if you've watched my videos before, you know I've made some videos about Bellefonte, the pioneer, the river town, which is now a ghost town, and about the Bellefonte Cemetery. So if you're interested in history or local history, you can go back and look those up. So let's continue our jaunt here. Get back around to my mug. I can sight, this thing doesn't have a screen. It has one on the back, but on the lens side it doesn't have a screen. But the lens is kind of a convex, has a convex cover on it, and if you are real careful, you can see your reflection in that, and it kind of indicates that you're pointing the thing at you. I know things drifting off and everything, but I'm not a pro, so I guess I can get by with a lot of things since I'm an amateur. Yeah, I got some, there goes another little, I scared him off, I didn't see him. Another blue heron. And those little critters you see there in the water close to me, they're not afraid of people at all. Not at all. And they're called coots. They're solid black. I think they have kind of an orange beak or bill. Some people around here call them water chickens. They kind of sound like a chicken. But they feed off, you can see all this grass down in here, they feed off the grass and whatever it's down on the bottom of the lake. And there are just hundreds of them in here. And I think they stay year round. I'll turn around and show you a little cabin. I don't know how much of it you can see. Nice little cabins. And they rent for a little over $100, I think, a night. But you're right here on the lake. It's a beautiful place to come and enjoy nature. And I think they stay rented most of the time. In good months, in wintertime, they're not kind of chilly here in North Alabama during the wintertime. So not a lot of lake activity other than the fishermen. Fishermen get out, they'll be out freezing temperature trying to catch a bass. I've heard they even fish in some weather where the eyelets of the rods freeze up and the line, the fishing line going through the eyelets become frayed and even cuts it into from the sharp parts of the ice. They just put on more line and go to it. See another blue heron down here. Now normally when I have my other camera, my snapshot camera, I guess you call it, it's hard to find a bird, but look at him down there on the dock. And I have a real good telephoto lens, a 400 millimeter. And if I had that with me right now, I could zoom in on his head and see his eye very clearly. I'm going to leave it on him. I'm supposing he's going to fly at some point. They're kind of skittish, and some are not. Some, if you fish a lot off the docks and catch brim and whatever, they'll make friends with you. They'll even come up and sit beside you, stand beside you, and wait for you to catch a small fish that you don't want. You can pitch it to him and he'll catch that thing head first and swallow it down in that big gullet. My dad fished a lot before he passed on several years ago. He had an old blue heron he called Charlie, and Charlie would wait for him every day. Charlie was his fishing buddy, and he'd come down and Dad would feed him, and they'll eat little brim as long as you'll feed them to them. And you'd be surprised what size fish that they can swallow. I'm hoping you can see him there. And he's just perfectly happy to have us taking this picture right now. I'll walk down, you'll see him take off. I'll hear him squawk. Maybe he'll squawk. He's keeping his eye on me. He's about ready to go. You're listening for him to squawk when he takes off. He's not too afraid at all. Nah, he didn't squawk, but he's just going to go on that dock right over there. He squawked a little. So he's not too afraid. And an airplane, but I don't see it. So let's go a little further. Oh, I was talking about walking. And watching me through the years, if you have, you know I used to walk all the time. Every day I'd go out and walk when I was a little younger. And I've kind of gotten out of the habit of it, and it's kind of out of shape a little bit. But we have a trip planned to Italy. Let these people pass by here. Some other hikers taking advantage of this beautiful day. What I was saying is we have a trip planned. Me and myself and my immediate family, 4 of us, to go to Italy after the local school term is out, when I won't be driving a bus, and also when my youngest daughter will be graduated, and it's kind of a graduation trip for her. And we're going straight to, we'll fly in out of Atlanta, Georgia, and fly to, I can't remember if it's Rome that we're flying into. But anyway, we'll be there for 10 days. And people that have been before have told us there's a whole lot of walking in Italy, especially if you want to go see some of those little seaside towns around Rome and Genoa and all those other places. I don't think we're going to Venice. But anyway, so this walking is supposed to get me in better shape so I can walk while we're on a trip in Italy. It'd be a shame to be having to sit in the hotel room while everybody else is out walking. But I think I can do it. Yesterday I walked almost 6 miles. And I don't walk a real fast pace, but I'm trying to get in about, I've got a little thing on my cell phone that checks my steps. I'm trying to get in about 12,000, 14,000 steps a day. So this little jaunt here, recording the video, is also helping my step count for today, hopefully. And the camera's doing pretty good, looks like. But the only indication I have that it's doing its thing is one little red blinking light. And I've already got, I can see the screen that tells how long I've been jabbering. And it's 36 minutes already. 36. And I guess you hear the lawnmower. See if I can see this old boy. See him mowing there, and they got a lot of grass to mow down here, and especially across the street there is a beautiful 18-hole golf course that they keep in great shape, and it's surrounded, there's all kind of little streams and lakes that run around it. I don't know if I get over there so you can see that or not. And I know not to turn the camera too fast, but being out of practice, I'm probably making everybody dizzy on here, zipping this camera around and everything. But at least I'm keeping my promise to you that I plan to make more regular videos now than what I have been making. I wish they had more benches back through here. But I'm gonna walk around right over here and find a bench and rest a little bit. But I thought I'd show you this pretty little scene right here. Here I go, going too fast again. Isn't that pretty? Beautiful. And that little deck right over there, uh-oh. I think I guess it's still, I thought my gimbal had give up on me. It kind of bounced sideways. But maybe not. Oh boy, I wish I had my telephoto. Now look at this. Over there on a log. I don't know if you can see them or not. I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 turtles. And those are Tennessee River cooter turtles, I think they're called. C-O-O-T-E-R. I don't know if you can see them or not. But there's a whole log full of them over there. And there again, I don't have my telephoto lens. I'd have a close-up of some sunning turtles. And can you tell, this is one of my favorite things to do. I love nature. Love being outside, loving wild animals and all that stuff. I love making YouTube videos. I don't know why I don't do it more often. Somebody on this one, it's 40 minutes. Somebody's going to say, oh, old man, you like talking to yourself? You sure are long-winded. Get on with it. You know, I've had, all these years, I've had very few haters. Just very, very few haters. I have one or two that make little snide remarks. But as far as a hater, I can't remember what you would call a true hater. Now don't somebody step up and say, well now you got one. I've enjoyed it, but what it is, I don't banner with them. And don't try to stir up any. If somebody makes a bad remark, I actually ignore it. Doesn't bother me any. They don't know me. But I guess I ought to acknowledge all the people, new people, that's joined the channel lately. Yeah, we've got some golfers over here. Let's see what they're up to. Got their carts out, getting ready to make a, can you make a home run in golf? They're getting ready to make a home run. Let's see this guy hit his ball here. Not a home run, not a home run. Now I know they don't have home runs in golf. Hole-in-ones, I guess, would be a home run in golf, but and not many of those. Got a little wooden bridge here, clank, clank, clanking here. About to see it in the background. It goes over a little creek. It goes over that little creek right there. You know, kind of bulrushes. Are those bulrushes? That what? And the road right behind me here. Are those bulrushes that what Noah's cradle was made out of? I don't know. I guess it'd work. Has anybody got sick from all this motion yet? Getting dizzy headed watching me? Oh boy. Anyway, I was thanking my new viewers. Like I say, I'm getting, every time I look in the last 30 days, I'll have 10, 15, or 20. And I appreciate that. And it makes me feel good that you watch some of my old videos and find them good enough or interesting enough that you want to watch more. Either that or, like I've told some other viewers, you're just a glutton for punishment. You like to see old man make a fool of himself. I don't know what it is. Whatever reason, I appreciate you watching. And I'd appreciate you subscribing. I'm not looking for subscribers, but it, the way Google and YouTube is doing, if you don't keep up a good showing, they just cut off your channel. Just take away your monetization. And monetization, they shouldn't even call it that in my case. I make so little pennies off of YouTube, it's not even funny. Don't you look at this old tree? This would look good at Halloween. Look at old boy. Look like a big old mouth there with teeth sticking out. But still living. Still living. And I noticed this morning when I was leaving my house, I live about 8 miles to the east of here. Not a long drive, it's a little way up the river. Someone's bought the house next door and they're renovating it. And that area that I live in on my side of the street is real wooded. We have really too many trees in our yard. But they were over there cutting big old beautiful oaks out of that yard this morning. And being a tree lover, it kind of made me sick. I love shade trees, although they are a lot of work. I'll give you that. All the leaves and droppings. And if you don't watch it, it'll cause mildew and mold when it's wet season. And we have a lot of wet seasons around here. Speaking of that, we had the wettest winter I can remember in my 73 years this past winter. It rained, just torrential rains, and still getting them. Still getting downpours. Plenty of water in the ground. And I've gotten to that little deck and got a little squirrel here. Look at him sitting on the tree there. See, little guy, he's not too afraid. He's imposing for you guys. He's gonna skinny up that tree if I get any closer. He's hoping I got a nut or something to feed him. Come on, boy. How close? Nah, he's not gonna let me get too close. There he is. He's still peeping around the tree at me. Now here's that deck I was walking to. That old tree here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And back over there is Alabama Highway 79. And from here you can kind of see it's kind of a little cove that goes back up in there. And then you see another mountain over there. We're in a very mountainous area here. Mountainous but beautiful. And I'm going to sit down here and take my, I'm making you dizzy again, I know. That's where we came from, those little docks over there and little cabins. I hope all this is taken pretty good, because I sure would like for you to see it. Yeah, I'm going to sit down here. Let's see how many minutes we're gone. Well, I can't even tell. Anyway, I guess it's still recording. 46 minutes. 46 minutes. That's pretty ridiculous. My man would sit and talk to his camera for 46 minutes. You got to have some kind of problem. Let me turn you back here. The little camera. There I am. I see myself there. And it ought to be a fairly good picture, although it's real bright in the background. I may not be very bright. I'm not very bright. A lot of people will tell you that. My face may not be lit properly. But anyway, you can see the lake in the background. I think pretty well see me. I don't know if you can or not. I listen to waves. I'm going to be quiet. Not the equivalent of an ocean breaker for sure. As a bass boat went by and kicked up a wave or two there. Love the sound of waves. And there's rocks down here and it's hitting on the shoreline rocks, making a beautiful sound. And I see another walker coming this way, and she's going to wonder what I'm doing sitting here talking to this stick, I guess, but I don't really care anymore. That's something. I think when you're younger, you worry and care about a whole lot more about what people are thinking or saying. But as you get older, not so much. No, I'm making a video. Good to see you. I should be fishing. The lady there wanted to know if I was fishing. She saw this pole in my hand. It does look like a fishing pole for sure. But nope. She says, "Are you fishing?" Not fishing. Used to fish a lot. Used to fish a whole lot. Make sure my microphone is still attached. It is. Biggest bass I've ever caught out of this river. Now some people have caught like almost 20 pound, maybe more than 20 pound largemouth bass. The largest one I've ever caught, the heaviest one I guess you'd say, was right at 10 pounds. He was real close to 10 pounds. And I have a picture of him. But we started fishing this lake back with my parents, maybe late 40s, early 50s. And no telling how many hours or how many fish I've caught out of this lake. But that's the biggest bass I've ever caught. Now catfish, you can catch bigger catfish than that. They go way on up. But the bass is the sport bass, what do you call it? I don't know the word for it right now. Game. He's a game fish. It's the one all these guys are after. Although we do have some crappie tournaments and catfish tournaments. And I guess have some brim, some sunfish tournaments. I don't know. Boy, it's a good breeze right here. And I've gone on for 50 minutes. One problem with making a longer video, I don't know how many of you keep up with resolutions and video recordings and things like that, but the new standard is what they call 4K, very high resolution picture, very high. The old one that people more likely to know about is 1080, resolution, which a lot of TVs were for a while and a lot of cameras were. This camera will take up to 4K, but the problem is it takes much longer to process 4K video than it does a 1080 video, especially if you keep the resolution up where it should be. So this thing is probably filming in 4K, but when I process it, and there again, you may not know what processing the video is, but when I process it, I'll process it at a lower resolution, so it won't take so long. It still look great even on a big screen TV, but it won't have that crispness. Is that right? Crispness. Get my English right. It won't have the crispness. I still didn't get it right. It won't be as sharp as it would if it was 4K because the resolution is a little down, but it'll do. But one this long, 51 minutes, normally if I process at a reasonable 1080 resolution, it'll take probably an hour and a half, might take 2 hours to process it. But there again, if I process this for 4K, it might take like 6 hours. And then even upload is slower. If you upload a high resolution video, it takes a lot longer to upload it to YouTube. So this one will definitely not be a 4K. It may not be anything the way I bounced it around. So I'm cooling off here. A perfect breeze, a perfect blue sky. Alabama is known for its blue sky days, and that there is the reason. Around here they call it severe clear. There's not a cloud in the sky anywhere. It's blue, blue, blue. Matter of fact, I think the song about Alabama, Sweet Home Alabama, talks about its blue, beautiful blue skies. And it's not perfect around here. I've had several people. Of course, all I let you see normally is the beauty of this area and what I think is presentable and pretty. We have some ugly things here like anywhere else. But some people say you sure do live in a beautiful area, and we do. But it's not a paradise for sure. But it's compared to a big city like Philadelphia, New York, Chicago. I'm living in a paradise right here, that's for sure. And the people are good. We don't have all the problems that they have in bigger cities like Atlanta, Nashville, Birmingham, some of that. Drugs, like everywhere else, has gotten to be a problem here. Not, again, like it is in some areas, but worse than it should be. But anyway, not a perfect place, but somewhere I've always enjoyed living. Well, I hope this has satisfied my promise to make some more videos. Now, I know somebody's going to say, we want to see some more Dixie Raisin videos, which are videos I think I've made 9 over the past 9 years maybe. And what they're supposed to be showing is me, what my remembrances of growing up in this area from birth to, I think I said, to adulthood. And right now, when I make my next one, I think it will be video Dixie Raisin episode 9 or 10. I think it's 9 maybe. And at that stage, I was in about the 3rd grade, and I guess I was about 10 years old. So I haven't moved along, but the episode should get a bit more interesting as I get in the next few years, I hope. But I'll continue making those things. One thing I like about doing that is supposedly things that are put up on YouTube will be archived and be available from, who knows, a long time. And I'm hoping that maybe my family will go back and they'll use that to remember or to see things that I remember as growing up. Maybe that'll work. Other people seem like they enjoy those things, and there's nothing greater. I just sit in front of the camera and talk, and I show a few pictures and things like that. and talk about what I remember. And people find it interesting. People tell me I'm a good storyteller, but then I start comparing myself to Mark Twain or some of those really great storytellers, Ernest Hemingway, people like that. Got to visit Hemingway's home in Key West, Florida last summer. Last summer we took a tour of Florida. I don't know if I ever made any videos about that or not, but we took a tour of Florida vacation. Stayed gone 17 days, and let me tell you, it's too long to be on the road. This was a road trip to stop all road trips. We went down the west coast of Florida. I live 350 miles from the Gulf Coast, which is Florida. Alabama has a little bit of Gulf Coast, but we started down on the Gulf Coast, on the west coast of Florida. Drove and stopped and saw what we thought we wanted to see, all the way down to the Keys, and then all the way back up the east coast. Even although that was a faster trip, we were getting tired and getting ready to get home. But anyway, went to Key West and saw Ernest Hemingway's home, which is a museum now. It's beautiful. It's very interesting to see where he lived and how he lived. Another thing, one of my favorite movies, I don't know if I mentioned this before or not, one of my favorite movies with Humphrey Bogart, and I guess it is for everybody, after you get past Casablanca and Sierra Madre and some of those, is one called African Queen. I've always loved African Queen. Being a boat lover, I've always loved the old boat that is an African Queen. We stopped, without planning now, we stopped in Key Largo in the Keys. We were tired, needed a place to stay, so we found I believe it was a Holiday Inn, and we stopped there to spend the night. And after we got kind of settled in and before we had dinner, I went out walking around and walked. There was a little harbor down behind the hotel. I guess it's a motel. Walked a little bit and looked down, and there, sitting in the water, restored to its movie condition, was the African Queen. Now that is coincidental. That almost fate, me being a lover of that movie and that old boat, and just walk up on it and there it sits. And come to find out, you could take tours on the Queen, on the African Queen. So the next day before we moved on, or maybe it was on a trip back out from Key West, I can't remember, but we stopped there, got a ticket, and got on the Queen, and it still had the steam engine just like it was in the movie. And believe it or not, it was a highlight of my long life, is I got to steer, to pilot the Queen down the little inlet and out toward the bay, and even got to ring the bell on the Queen. Now how's that for? That was a highlight of my trip. I'll tell you what, I could go on. We're about halfway through the walk that I was thinking about here, and I could go on for another 30 minutes, I guess, or longer. And I haven't even got to the marina and places like that. But this thing is about to kick up on a solid hour. And I think what I'll do is say this is the end of this promised video of catching up and doing more videos. And maybe later on I can show you the marina. I've got an old houseboat down there that I've promised several times to make a video around and show people about my old houseboat. And we've got a little runabout that's some dry storage here that we use some. But I guess you can hear the guy mowing yard down there. Maybe it's not so loud. That's one thing. I guess they mow during the week so they won't disturb people on the weekend. But I've noticed in several parks, and I don't know how you get around it, but almost every time you go to a park, there'll be a guy with a lawnmower just making all kind of racket, and you come to a park for peace and quiet, and then you get there and they're running mowers at full speed, making all kind of noise. But I guess it keeps the places pretty. Well, I hate to leave, and I wish I'd brought my other camera, but this one, if it's worked, it just now clicked on 1 hour solid on this video. I don't know if that's a record or not, but it's probably close. But this thing's going to take some time to download and some time to process. And I've got to go after a while. It's 10:46, almost lunchtime. I ate an early lunch because I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive the bus. My bus route starts at about 6:30. My afternoon route starts at 2 p.m. So I have several hours between my morning route and my afternoon route. And I got to get around and find some lunch, finish my walk, and then go drive the bus again. I think we have less than 7 weeks remaining. And then they treat us around here sort of like they do the teachers, in that we are paid 12 months, even though we only work 9 months. So I'll have the summer off with some pay and have more time to make videos, I guess, and get in better shape. Okay, let's show you the guy over there still fishing over there on the dock. Here he is, in a boat. See him over there in that boat trying to catch a fish. He's fishing along those boat docks. And there's one here zooming by. See if we can see him. There he goes. Right there. He's going out after a big bass. Okay, that's it. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. My old time, I'm about to pull my camera down. My old time viewers, thank you for hanging in here with this old man all these years. I was an old man when I started, so I sure am an old man now. Whoop. I was 60 years old when I started YouTube, and now I'm 73. So, getting there. Still in good health. Everybody always asks me how I'm doing. I guess because I'm aged, but they ask how you've been doing, and I've been doing good. Not bad for an old man. Things have gone along pretty well. But anyway, all my old viewers, thank you for watching. My new viewers, thank you very much for subscribing for whatever reason you did. And if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, just go find that subscribe button if you would, and say, I want to be notified when Mess About One in Scottsboro, Alabama is uploading a video. And then you won't miss any of this wonderful entertainment. Here I am, see, I'm going on and on. I had a guy, and it's been several years ago, that got to be a regular viewer. And I've never understood this one. But he said, he might have just been complimentary, but he said, and I made long videos back then too, some almost this long. He said, I'd rather sit and watch or listen to your videos than anything that I watch on TV. And I thought, well, those guys that make those TV shows and those movies and all those videos make some big bucks, and if I have enough people that that'd rather watch me, I ought to be profiting a little more out of this than what I am. But no, my profit is you guys saying you enjoy and coming back, and your personal comments and communication. I've made some pretty good friends over the years on YouTube, so that's my compensation. But I always thought that was funny that I guess he was just being complimentary. I don't know. Hour and 4 minutes. So I'm going to shut her down, reach around here and turn off my camera, and pack it away and go back and finish my walk, get some lunch, and go back and drive the bus after a while. Thank you very much for watching. Richard Matthews, Mess About One, Scottsboro, Alabama, in deep south of the United States of America, right here in the beautiful northeast corner of that state. The corner of Alabama borders Georgia and Tennessee, and I'm not too far from that borderline. Goodbye. See you later.